Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for The Empire Strikes Back. So, The Empire Strikes Back is continuing on the Star Wars franchise. It's the second film to be released and the fifth film in the franchise, and it revolves around the story of young Luke Skywalker, who's learning more and more about the Force, and decides he wants to go meet Master Yoda to try to learn more and more about it. In the meantime, a lot of his friends are going through a lot of issues. They're getting stuck in places that they shouldn't be, and there's a lot of bad things going on. So, honestly, The Empire Strikes Back is not necessarily a movie that is thick in plot. It is very, very simple, and it's like the first Star Wars movie, and it's like Return of the Jedi, and it's like The Force Awakens. These all have fairly simple stories. However, how they're executed is everything that counts. So, The Empire Strikes Back previously was my least favorite of the original trilogy. Seeing it again in December and having more thought about it made me have it go up to second for the original trilogy, but I still like Star Wars a little bit more. However, after this rewatch, I gotta say that The Empire Strikes Back is easily my favorite of the franchise. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. It's so great. I love everything about this movie. I mean, just comparing it to the original, I don't want to try to do that too much because a lot of people do, but honestly, everything from the original has improved. The acting in this movie, there's not a single scene where the acting feels fake or unrealistic. It is all fantastic. The dialogue, too, was improved by miles and miles. I believe that's in due part of Lawrence Kasdan's writing. He is a great writer and only proves it, again, with this movie. There are so many memorable lines that a lot of people quote today. Most of them are from Han Solo, but there are a lot of lines that people, it's hard to walk down the street sometimes and not hear a quote from The Empire Strikes Back. There are so many of them, like Laugh It Up, Fuzzball, who you calling scruffy looking, May the Force be with you, do or do not, there is no try, fear is the path to the dark side. There's so many of them that all work very, very well. Also, Darth Vader, honestly, I believe he's the second greatest villain of all time, and in this movie he proves it even more. He is a fantastic villain. Every time he comes to the screen, the film becomes more menacing. It becomes more intense. It becomes more brutal. It's hard to say that about any other villain ever. My number one of all time, most likely will always be, is, I'm forgetting her name now, but Louise Fisher's character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She will always be number one, but Darth Vader will always be number two. He is a fantastic villain. Alright, so moving on, I gotta say that the score in this one is so great. It's amazing. This is the greatest score ever put to screen. I'm saying it now, and I will stay firm with that, because I can listen to this score. It's got some fantastic musical pieces. Practically every song is iconic now. Every single song in this movie is practically iconic, and if you hear it, you'll associate it with Star Wars, and that's because this soundtrack is memorable. Too many soundtracks, practically 99% of soundtracks are forgettable because they just blend with the movie. The one in The Empire Strikes Back is able to blend with it, but also stand out at the same time, which I know sounds weird, and it's kind of an oxymoron, but it works presented on screen. And it's amazing. It's just a fantastic score. I love it so much. It's also a very entertaining movie. Every single scene has a fantastic narrative flow. The movie never loses steam. The 2-hour and 7-minute runtime feels like half an hour. It goes by so quickly, yet at the same time feels consistent to what the movie's doing. It was so well done. This is one of the most entertaining movies ever made. The battle on Hoth, too. A lot of the action sequences look great in this movie. A lot of action sequences throughout the history of film all are okay action sequences. The ones that stand out typically do go on for a very, very long time, and there's not many action sequences that you can say, oh, that one went by very quickly. Usually a 10-minute action scene feels like a full 30 minutes. But the ones in this film go by in 5 minutes. No matter how long or short they are, they usually feel like 5 minutes, and there's no action scene that exceeds 5 minutes in this movie, so that was definitely awesome, and the Battle on Hoth is a fantastic one. It's loaded with a lot of emotion, even though the movie just started. You already feel a lot for these characters. And it's awesome to see characters actually die on screen. It's not like 12 characters go in to fight something and 10 of them come out okay. No, practically everybody that goes into that battlefield dies. and it's a very, very realistic look at battle. It's mind-boggling how deep this movie actually is in reality, and a lot of the themes, too, are very, very well handled. There's a lot of themes about corruption, about the darkness and how it can overcome you. And there are a lot of great messages, not just for kids, but for adults, too. Everyone can take something out of this movie, because it presents a theme very, very subtly, it's not forced in your face, and it's done very, very well. And also, this whole movie just brings a smile to your face. Even the darker times still bring a smile because you're enwrapped in the story. It's an experience if I've ever seen one. You can watch this film, no matter how small the screen is, and you will still get an experience, which is fantastic. You can't say that about too many movies. A lot of the CGI in this movie, too, looks very, very good. Some of it looks outdated, sure, but a lot of it is very well thought out. So a lot of it doesn't look outdated. A lot of the worlds, you know, they go to Hoth, they go to many other places, and a lot of them look very, very good. They're very well realized and very, very creative. And in fact, a lot of worlds that you can think of are represented throughout the history of cinema. A lot of the worlds that are made in this movie, practically every sci-fi film or sci-fi video game or anything, has an ice planet. Everyone has a swamp planet. And there's a reason for that, because this film is so influential. You can clearly see how it has inspired so many filmmakers in the past. Also, they do something fantastic with Yoda. Now, I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen it, why? Go watch it right now. But they do something fantastic with Yoda. They introduce him as not who he actually is, which is so, so great. It's a genius idea. They didn't have to think about that. The screenwriters didn't. Lawrence Kasdan didn't have to think about that. Irvin Kershner, the director, didn't have to think about that. But the fact that they did just shows the more effort put into this movie. It's amazing. Also, the story is very... The film as a whole has a very massive scale. It's huge. It goes across practically the entire universe, but the story still feels very small and personal, which is something very interesting. Too many sci-fi films try to be huge in scale and try to be, you know, it affects everyone. And this movie is able to do that, but also still have a personal story about characters just living their life, going through things, and it's deeply, deeply powerful. Also, the dark side, too, is represented in this film better than any Star Wars film ever. It is so menacing. You can understand why characters feel pulled to it. It's a dark, menacing thing, but it's not just dark and menacing. There's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of layers. There's also a lot of emotionally impactful scenes in the movie, too. A lot of them, especially the scene where they reveal the twist, that scene... First off, brilliant. It's the greatest twist of all time. Second greatest twist to Diabolique. But, I mean, that twist is just... It's mind-bogglingly fantastic. But, even then, the emotional impactful in that... How emotionally impactful that scene is astonishing. And that's what makes it such a great twist. And that's what makes this movie so great. Everything is fantastically done. To end this off, I gotta say, all the characters, too, new and old, are all great. They're all given a lot of depth, they all have a lot of meaning to them, they don't feel like characters, they feel like humans put on screen, which you can't say about many sci-fi movies. Too many of them try to make their characters larger than life, but that's not what The Empire Strikes Back needed to do. You can understand why this film is so, so well known today. Without this, I'm not sure that Star Wars would even be as big as it is. Yes, the first one is amazing. Yes, I definitely would say that. However, The Empire Strikes Back is even better. And I gotta say, I give this film a 9.6 out of 10. Almost reached that A+ area, which is 9.75 or above. Couldn't quite get it to there. I'm not sure why, and I don't have a lot of justification for it, but there are a few things throughout that can't necessarily bring me can't necessarily bring the film to that area. But I love this film so much. If you have not seen it, go and see it right this very instant. It is fantastic. Alright, that concludes my review for The Empire Strikes Back. What do you think of this movie? Comment in the comment section below. I am Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.